Hello everybody and welcome to The Fawn Blonde. My name is Portia and I am the Fawn Blonde. In today's video I'm switching gears from my normal plan with me's and unboxings and eventually videos on self-improvement to something more sinister and dark, and that is these allegations against Wayfair that they're involved in human trafficking. I originally wasn't going to make a video on this because I felt like there's probably a million videos on this already, and also I think everyone has seen Twitter and Facebook and Instagram just running a buzz with this story. But the more that I dove deep down this rabbit hole, the more I felt like it was less of a conspiracy theory and more of a very real possibility. And if there's even a hint of validity to these statements and these allegations, then I feel like we have a moral obligation to talk about it as much as possible so that we can bring justice to those who are being victimized, bring them back home to their family and their friends so they can live a normal life and get the help that they need, whether that's therapy, comfort, etc. So in today's video, I want to go down every avenue that I have found over the last 48 hours, every twist and turn that I have seen, and I would like you to come to your own conclusions. I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to just take my word as truth. I want you to develop your own truth within this story. Let's start from the very beginning of what Wayfair is and how they work, because I feel like if you understand that, then it'll make it much easier to follow this story as it unravels. Wayfair is an e-commerce website. An e-commerce website is like Amazon or Etsy. It basically acts as a very large umbrella, and underneath that umbrella it houses different individual sellers and businesses. And when you're part of an e-commerce website like that, it's very much a give and take relationship. That major umbrella will push out your content, make sure that you get the traffic that you need to be successful. Meanwhile, every sale that you make on their website, they take a percentage out of that sale. So you see, it's definitely a balance of give and take within that relationship, but it can be very beneficial for your business. And this e-commerce business, Wayfair, it specializes in home decor and furniture. So it's very much about furnishing your home and designing it the way that you like. Everything from couches and ottomans to paintings and various types of artwork. They have just about everything. Think of it as a more expensive version of IKEA. Now that we understand what Wayfair is and how they operate, let's talk about this scandal that has rocked them extremely hard over the last 72 hours. According to Reddit, now this is something that I can't verify, I've tried but I couldn't find much on it, so take this with a grain of salt, but according to Reddit, there was someone who either volunteers for or works for an organization that specializes in taking down child trafficking rings. And this individual happened to be on Wayfair and noticed some pretty odd activity. Now I feel like if you're someone who does this for a living or for volunteer work, then you have a keen eye for details that just don't seem right. You have a great ability to investigate into these things, which is exactly what this person allegedly did. They noticed that Wayfair was selling these items for a large amount of money. Everything from pillows to cabinets were going for $10,000 to $15,000. And not only that, but they had human names attached to the product, which, to be fair, is not all that uncommon. If you buy a couch from American Furniture Warehouse, then you're going to see that there's a lot of couches that are called Elena and various female names. So that's not totally wild and out of the ordinary. But what made it out of the ordinary was the fact that there were these high prices, and when they copy and pasted that name in a search engine like Google, it popped up as missing children with the same name. So naturally, they decided to investigate this a little bit further, because why would you just stop there, right? They took the SKU number, which is a number that helps you for inventory purposes, especially when you are part of such a large website like that with thousands of different items. It makes it more individualized and easier to find. They took that SKU number and they pasted it into a search engine called Yandex. Yandex is, from my understanding, a Russian search engine similar to Google. As soon as they put that SKU number into Google, what they found was really disturbing. They found pictures that were very suggestive and inappropriate of children. And that just kind of put everything together that this may be a human trafficking ring that they discovered. They posted that on Reddit, on the conspiracy theory section, and that became what we know today as this large scandal. But people didn't just take this person's word for it, because these days, let's be honest, you could Photoshop an image and make it fit the narrative that you're trying to push out there to gain traction, right? So people are investigating on their own, and what they discovered were the exact same things. But instead of it just being one product with a child's name linked to a missing person, people were finding that there were dozens of items on there that had names of missing children. And these names weren't ordinary names. It wasn't like Sarah and Joe. These were extremely unique names that I honestly had never seen before except from those missing children. So it seemed a little bit odd that this would be happening and that these items would be priced so highly. But it obviously doesn't just stop there, because why would it? Why would it stop there? It continues to get weirder. Some Reddit detectives found that these prices could possibly be coordinates. In fact, one user looked up 8 different prices in a conversion to coordinate calculator type of system, and found that each one landed to a very specific place in Nigeria, exactly 1 mile from, or 1,000 feet from, the only road in sight within a desolate area in the middle of nowhere. And they made the comment that said, you know, these coordinates should land me in the middle of nowhere. I'm punching in all these numbers, it should place me somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but I don't feel like it's right that it's placing me within 1 mile of the only road in sight. Something is weird about this. And they even said that they kept coming back to this, hoping that these weren't really their findings because it disturbed them so much. And then more people were looking into the coordinate theory and finding similar results. Is there something to that? We really don't know. It could just be a bunch of random numbers that have this coincidence because they're so closely related in the numbers, but it does seem a little strange. Another user on Reddit pointed out that there was a seller named Isabel and Max. They were selling a 4-piece framed art set of dinosaurs, and that might not seem all that strange because it was under the kids section, and if you want to get artwork for your house, again, you can because it's Wayfair. But what made this interesting was the fact that it was being sold for $30,177. And someone commented underneath that said, looking at the description, that artwork totals 105 pounds. And so it seems like, depending on the size, there was a different pound range for whatever it is that you purchased. Well, this detective, who earned one reward because of their amazing findings, said, the weight is important, but you're focusing on the wrong aspect. Not the total weight, but the weight for each size that they offer. 12 by 12, 20 pounds. 18 by 18, 24 pounds. 24 by 24, 28 pounds. And 32 by 32 is 32 pounds. Here's the thing. The average weight of a 12-month-old baby is 20 pounds. 18-month-old, 24 pounds. 24-month-old, 28 pounds. And 32-month-old is 32 pounds. They even included a link that shows the weight chart to prove that they weren't just making that up to feed into this theory, but rather that that's actually the case, that those are the average weights of various ages of children. That's not normal. I did my own research as well because I wanted to see these crazy inflated prices and what items could possibly be listed under them. And what I found honestly kind of disturbed me. There's a seller on Wayfair called Harriette B. I have my phone on here because I want to make sure that I say this as accurately as possible. But they were selling an Asita twin over twin bunk bed with trundle. Okay, so it was a twin bunk bed. And this bunk bed looks honestly pretty basic. They were selling it for $19,998. But then I looked even deeper into Harriette B and found that that's not uncommon for them. They had the same Asita twin over twin bunk bed with trundle for $9,999. Why do you have an almost $10,000 difference? What's the deal with that? Are you getting 2 kids instead of 1? You have to wonder. They also had a Carolina 6-drawer double dresser with mirror for $10,589.09. And then to top things off, they also have Similar artwork like the ones that we talked about with the dinosaurs, but this time it was a 3-piece set that's called Bitsy Hauling Truck and Forklift that was $10,132.97. Super interesting. And I know that other people had theories that maybe these had different ages in them. For example, the Carolina 6-drawer double dresser with a mirror, maybe that 6 in the middle of the title is the age of the child. Or maybe the fact that everything says 2 colors, 2 sizes, 2 sizes. Maybe that has to deal with the fact that it comes in a group of 2. Or maybe those are also ages. We may never honestly know. I also want to point out that there were some people who purchased items from this seller, and these are all in the kids section. All of this is under gender neutral kids beds. Okay, so it's targeted for children, but I happen to notice that some people who were verified buyers were posting pictures of their children in these beds. And that gave me such terrible feelings in the pit of my stomach, because why would you post images of your children on the internet like that? I know it might seem innocent because you're leaving a review, but you have no idea who you're dealing with here. We especially don't know what we're dealing with now that all of this is coming out. But I also want to point out too that this could all just be one big misunderstanding. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I don't feel like that's the case, but for the sake of this video, I do have to mention that. When it comes to the theory about the names and how they're linked to missing children, people are talking about how they may be auto-generated, that maybe there is some type of algorithm in Wayfair's system that chooses the most hot topic names that they can link to a product. That way when you're searching a name, their product will come up. Other people were saying, well, maybe these inflated prices are nothing more than a case of that item was out of stock, so they raised the prices, that way no one would try to purchase them because they don't have them on hand. These are pretty valuable and valid ways to look at things, but it just seems a little too strange and coincidental, especially considering that one of the shops that I found, it was called Isabella. I think it's called Isabella. Let me actually double check. Sorry, it's actually called Isabelline. They had a logo on their product that is the same exact pattern and logo that the FBI has listed under one of the symbols that pedophiles use. Explain that one to me, please, because I'm having a hard time finding anything that could justify that. To make matters even more complicated, if you don't remember, about a year ago, Wayfair was under really hot water with their employees. In fact, a lot of their employees staged a huge walkout in protest for the company's involvement with the government and with detention facilities that were housing immigrant detainees, including children.
More than 100 employees of the online furniture seller walked from their Huntington Avenue offices to Copley Square, where they rallied against their employer's practice of selling beds to a government contractor that supplies furniture to migrant detention facilities.
Every company has something to hide. Every company has dead bodies in the closet somewhere.
Wayfair had supplied over $200,000 worth of bedding and furniture to these detention facilities, and people were really angry about this because these are children that were torn away from their families at the border. These are also detention facilities that were, some of them, shut down because they had safety and health concerns for those kids that were staying there. But Wayfair was still supporting them, which made people really upset. And this is also around the same time, if you recall, that our government happened to misplace or unaccount for thousands of children that were crossing the border that were ripped from their families.
A federal agency says it has lost track of nearly 1,500 migrant children. The Health and Human Services Department says the case managers could not find the children after they made follow-up calls to check on their safety. This is the second time that the agency has had trouble tracking children down. The agency first reported it had lost track of more than 1,400 children late last year.
How the hell do 1,000+ children happen to just slip out of the hands of our government? Children don't just disappear in droves like that. They just don't. So where are they? And the fact that the media happened to brush this under the rug and bring it up one day and forget about this the next, and no investigation had really been taking place, is extremely disturbing. Is it a coincidence that Wayfair happened to be involved with the government at this time? Is it a coincidence that they supplied products to the government for these detention facilities? And were they actually used for the detention facilities, or was it because the government was hiding these children for a very sinister reason? We'll never know. Let's be real. We will never know because the government's really good at hiding their tracks. Speaking of government, this is where the story takes a very interesting twist. There's a theory out there that this may be linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and you may be wondering, well, what does the government have to do with that? Please allow me to explain, and buckle up because this is going to be a very bumpy ride. There's a woman named Andrea Jung. Andrea Jung was listed as part of the board of directors for Wayfair. Andrea Jung also happened to win the Clinton Global Citizen Award for her visionary leadership in solving pressing global issues. Now, if you remember, on Epstein's flight log, Bill Clinton was one of the many high-profile names that happened to be on there. So he has ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what makes this even worse is the fact that Andrea Jung is also the CEO for Grameen America. And who is the advisor for Grameen America? Drumroll please, because this is about to blow your effing mind. It is none other than Isabel Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's sister. And if you don't know who Ghislaine Maxwell is the right-hand woman who helped Epstein, who trafficked these girls, groomed them into exactly what they were as part of their disgusting little game. And it was only a couple of weeks ago that she was finally imprisoned for her involvement in the abuse of over 1,000 children. Is the timing just a coincidence that suddenly we're hearing about Wayfair when the person on the board of directors list has ties to her sister? Are they all in this together? Is every organization somehow owned by the exact same group of people, just under a different LLC? Because let's face it, if you're part of the 1%, the chances of you stooping down low and hanging out with those who are part of the normal 99% are probably slim to none. You're gonna hang out with people who are in the same power bracket as you, if not more powerful than you. Since like attracts like, then what's preventing these people from collaborating together and making more corporations and organizations that can feed into whatever their motive is? It could just be one giant disguise under our noses, and we're feeding into it. We're supporting it by giving them our hard-earned money. And how do we know who we're giving our money to half the time? I mean, it's so easy to blindly give your money to someone who doesn't have pure intentions because it's under a different LLC name and we think it's not tied to them. Which brings me to my next point, the Meredith Corporation. Ever heard of them? Well, you should definitely keep an eye on them because they're running everything that we know and see today. Let's cover some of the things that they own. I have a whole list of them on my phone from their personal website. So let's talk about them. Today, Meredith uses multiple distribution platforms, including broadcast television, print, digital, mobile, and video, to provide consumers with content they desire and to deliver messages of its advertising and marketing partners. Meredith's national media group reaches more than 180 million unduplicated American consumers every month, including over 80% of the US millennial women. here are some of the things that they own. People Magazine, Better Homes and Gardens, In Style, All Recipes, Real Simple, Shape, Southern Living, and Martha Stewart Living magazines. 3,000 SKUs of branded products at 4,000 Walmart stores across the US, and 17 television stations reaching 11% of US households. 11% of US households. The Wayfair logo and the Meredith Corporation logo are almost the same thing if you strip them down. Not to mention the fact that Better Homes and Gardens is sold on Wayfair's website. So it's not only a part of Walmart, it's on Wayfair too. So do Walmart and Wayfair have a partnership? Are they all under the umbrella of the Meredith Corporation? I have no idea. This is so wild that my mind is blown. The reason why I bring this up is because Wayfair isn't the only one who's captivating people's attentions for being a part of the possible human trafficking ring. Walmart, Amazon, Etsy, eBay, all of these places, all of these e-commerce websites are gaining similar traction. In fact, one person found that there was a toy box with the name Dylan on it, and these are really creepy toys, you guys. I'll put a picture because you have to see it for yourself. And it was listed for $10,000 with only one available. Why is that? Because there's only one child? On Amazon, another person happened to notice that a rug was going for $11,000. Now, rugs, again, are notorious for costing a lot of money. The weird thing, though, is that it was listed under teens and children. Why was that necessary? Why not just have it under rugs, for crying out loud, or home decor? Why is it under teens and children? Etsy had someone who was making mediocre art of children. This is crazy. And I'm really starting to think all of this is under one big corporate umbrella. And there's a lot of people involved in this that we really don't want to know who's involved, because it may shake the world up as we know it. What's really weird about all of this is the fact that the media has been so quick to defend, to jump to the conclusion that it's all false. Snopes, one of the largest and most trustworthy websites for fact-checking, came out within mere hours of this story breaking, saying it's false just because Wayfair said it was false. Wayfair came out with a statement that basically just said, this isn't true, these items are fairly priced, these are industrial cabinets, so the price is fair. And then Snopes was like, okay, call it a day, that's that. But the weird part about it was that after claiming that they were fairly priced, they deleted the items off of their website. Why would you do that if you have nothing to hide? And furthermore, they contradicted themselves with another statement saying that they were in fact not fairly priced, and they took them down to adjust the prices to match what they should actually represent. If it's just a pricing issue, why not just change that? Why are you taking it off of your website? In live time, people were clicking on links and searching through items, and they would disappear in front of their eyes. If you're innocent, why? And who can you trust in the media world? You know, corporations like the Meredith Corporation run everything anyway, and they have ties with Wayfair and Walmart. Why would they be so quick to shut it down if they didn't have some sort of involvement, or they weren't covering something up? I just can't help but wonder that. To wrap up this video, I want to talk about how I think that they're able to do this if this is in fact something that they're doing. So going through Wayfair may seem weird to some people. Why would you have it out in the open? It's actually the perfect place to have it, in my opinion. Why? Because it allows you to have a trace of clean money. Anyone could put a product on Wayfair or Amazon or Etsy or eBay, right? So what happens is, if you or I normal people, were to go on there and purchase a $20,000 bunk bed, for example, then we would probably just end up with a bunk bed and nothing more. But if you were part of the underground world that is involved in human trafficking, you're probably given some sort of passcode. What do you do with that passcode? You put it in the promo code section of when you check out. That promo code allows that seller to see, oh, you're here for that reason and you're one of us. It is literally exactly like a password. And these are not most likely easy to crack. These are probably very, very strategic and wild and really hard to break down. Once that money goes through and once they see that you're part of their circle, they'll likely send you an item. Why would they do that? Well, because they need to make sure that it's tracked. This is their paper trail. This is a way to cover their asses to say that it really truly is clean money from a sale. On Wayfair, when you purchase something, it tracks exactly where your shipment's coming from and it gives you an estimated date of arrival. Everything is tracked through this website. That's why they would do it that way. But as soon as everything is taken care of and everything goes through, they likely coordinate behind the scenes through another means of communication to discuss ways to deliver the person to you. And I know some people are like, are they just delivering these children or these people in these boxes or storage containers? I don't think that's the case, because that runs too many risks. Someone could literally die on the way to being transported. They could scream out for help, make a scene. There's just too many loopholes in doing it that way. So the way that I think they do it is through a totally different means. I think they're personally delivered by whoever has them, but that's just my theory. Can't take my word for it 100% because there is no proof behind it, but if I had to tap into the mind of someone who would be doing something like that, that's how I would do it because it's smart. And if there's nothing more going on, there really isn't any human trafficking. At the very least, there has to be money laundering because that's the perfect way to do it. Why wouldn't you? And it's right under people's noses. I can't tell you how many times I've shopped on Wayfair and I've seen ridiculously priced items and I just thought, who in their right mind would spend that much money? And I laughed about it and I went along my business. I think everyone has probably come across something like that and blown it off. That's what makes it so scary and so smart, because the average person wouldn't think anything of it. They would just move right along. So that's everything that I have for this video. These are all the different theories, my own take on how they would do this, and why I think that it's smart if they did do it this way. But unfortunately, if this is the truth, again, we have victims who are at stake here, real people who are being exploited and used for greed. So down below in the description box, I'm going to include some links of places that help victims out that are involved in child trafficking, who really help to bring justice and knock on these people's doors and make them stop what they're doing. I really want to donate to something like this, and I think that you should too. Because let's just say that everyone's innocent in this. At least we're talking about human trafficking again. At least this is something that is a hot topic, because it does happen every single day. Thank you so much for watching my video. This is not my normal content. I do plan with me's and self-improvement, and I don't normally talk about topics like this, but it just felt like it was necessary. So if you want to stick around for that kind of content, go ahead and like and subscribe. But please, at the very least, leave a comment down below telling me what you think, because this is a very crazy story and I'm dying to know what other people's theories are. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.